Back again, guys. I finished my box of 43 Mauser with the 4895 powder. They all turned out pretty nice. Nice shiny new bullets on them. And got them all seated and length correctly. Well, no, you know what? I got one left. That just goes to show you, don't take much to miss one, so we'll load it up while I'm talking to you. Anyhow, can't get the range today. Apparently, RCMP qualifications. So the RCMP are there this afternoon doing their yearly qualifications, and well, we've got a book for tomorrow morning. So I'm just going to load this one here while I'm talking to you. I loaded the other ones with Pyrex, or almost done, and then I'm going to load some. I haven't decided what powder I'm going to use yet. I may try the original black 2F. I got some here because I use it in my muzzle loader. But well, like I say, it's no real different in loading this cartridge because my practice is the same. I use the same bullet, but I try and try and show you guys like a little difference. Different powders, different choices. I mean, just because it's an old gun, it doesn't mean that you can't try modern powders in it within pressure limits. Now, don't go loading the thing up like a 3/4 stick of dynamite just because it's a big barrel, big gun, heavy built. Think it's built like a tank. Well, even tanks broke down and tanks blew up. So I'm just going to stuff the Dacron in there, and that's kind of a thing to show you. And I don't know if you can see down in there, but it's just to keep the powder. The powder only comes up to about here. I mean, you still got all this case here. So we're going to push the Dacron down just to keep the powder down here. And then I'm going to grab my 395 grain bullet as usual. And my bullet lube. And guys, I use SPG. It's good for me for two reasons. One, I can use it in this. All my cast bullet guns that I shoot, my 45-70 and this, and I might even start casting from my 303s. A friend of mine has a 210 grain mold from RCBS, and I've been kind of itching to try that with some reduced loads of 2400 powder and of Reloader 7. I try and keep a few different powders on hand. I load shot shells too. I load black powder shot shells. I load smokeless shot shells. I burnt my whole pound of Herco that I had. I used the last bit of it in my 43 Mauser. It was good, but I'm finding that the load. Oh, excuse me. Finding that the load of 2400 is very promising. Just very, very happy at the range here today with the group. It's just that the rifle itself is shooting way, way, way high, and I'm going to have to either just take a really low aim on things at longer range, because at 50 yards I'm getting good groups and they're in a decent spot. I'm happy with that, but it's once you go past 50 meters that it starts to rise, and I don't know if that's just nature of the beast. People have different opinions on it. One guy was telling me just put a taller sight blade in the front, you'd be fine. Another guy told me to rip that military sight off, and if you want just a shooter, and he said get a good quality a Tang lollipop sight and put it on the rear. And I said nah. I said that's taking too much of it away. But I'm going to show you how easy it is to seat these bullets. There's my case is primed. My thumbs. Remember me, Mr. Carpal Tunnel. You take that and 1, 2, seated. And I'll show you what I do just to crimp it now. Any of the dies that are equal, like this is an old RCBS die I got kicking around for my 308, and actually that's the ones I loaded. I use these to load those accurate 308 loads, and inside them right now it's all full of SPG from this thing. But I take my cartridge, stick it in, and you see it stops. Take my fingers, push it in like that, and give a little push. Now if I had my press, it'd be a lot easier. And as you can see, it puts a little bit of a crimp there. Can't even move that bullet. She's in there. And that's seated. 2 crimp grooves down. That's exactly where I seat all my 43 Mauser bullets. And there we go. Now my box is done. But I loaded these here. These here are all loaded on 4570 reform brass and a couple of 348s. But it's basically the same idea. Here's a 348 one loaded with Pyredex. Loaded, as soon as you put 50 grains of Pyredex in, this thing fills right up pretty much to the top. Then you just got to tap the case and it brings it down to about where that mark is. And I just seat the bullet stops here, and give it a little push, and you can actually feel the resistance, and it stops. Stop it right there. It's perfect. The length is perfect for any chamber, and that's what you want, just a slight compression. Black powder or black powder substitutes, they need the compression. You can't have no air gaps. It's a bad idea. Pressure can spike really quick, and some funny things can happen. If your gun's usually built tough, built strong, not a weak action, well, it may not do anything, but you could have a very weak action that's, the tolerances aren't there, and you get a lot of things, a lot of pressure moving things around. It can cause things to go bad. But we don't want bad things. We want safe shooting. That's what we're trying to promote. Even though that some of these reloading techniques I'm using are self-taught, basically in the hands of an experienced loader, there's no issues. But if you're a beginner reloader, I wouldn't suggest just doing this without being under the watchful eye of an experienced loader shooter. Some guys just know, just looking at stuff, they just have that knack. They know what's right, what's wrong. They don't need a book. Personally, myself, everything I do, they'll say, oh, follow 2.8375. Well, I just, basically, I seat my bullets individual to the chamber length on my gun I'm using. Not every gun has the same length chamber, and don't let people fool you. Just because your buddy's Husqvarna 308 and your Husqvarna 308 are the same, I guarantee you if you take a cast of the chamber, there's variations and differences. Machining and tooling is all different. So I try and tailor the shell to the individual gun, and I find it increases accuracy, it improves feeding, extraction, and it's a good way to be. I was taught by a fellow. He's a friend of mine. He's deceased now. He was a gunsmith, and when I went into the stuff, I was as green as the grass. And I said, I told him, I said, Steve, what do I have to know? He said, sit down, grab a cup of tea, and just listen to what I got to tell you. And he told me a whole bunch of stuff, gave me all these books to read. He says, don't you touch the reloading setup till you read these books, and read them good. So I did, and I learned a lot of stuff, a lot of do's and don'ts, and I try and stay away from the don'ts, but don'ts have happened. But I'm still here. But the main thing is, even when you're loading with basic equipment, like I'm just going to grab you guys here for a second. I'm going to show you what I'm using, okay? There's my scale. $35 scale. My prescription pill bottle. There's my Pyredex and my stuff. My can of bullets. That's my TV stand for you guys. And I'm just using Teflon tape from the hardware store. Nothing fancy. Bullet lube that's all mushed up. Don't have to be fancy. You'll hear me say that a lot. And, this is a 308 die. Never intended to crimp 43 Mauser, but it works. So, generally speaking, you don't have to have all your I's dotted and T's crossed to have a successful a reloading session. I mean, for example, I have to make do with what I have today because, well, I don't have access to my reloading gear. You may say, why don't you have your reloading gear? Well, I live in a mobile home. I don't have a garage, and my friend does, but he works every day, and I'm currently unemployed, and this is what I do to pass time and to keep my sanity. So I don't have a key to go in his garage whenever I wish, so I can only go there when he's home. So I just take what materials I need and that I can deal with without dies and whatever, and people say you're crazy loading without reloading dies. I said, well, I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy at all. I'm improvising. I'm being efficient. It just goes to show you that you don't need everything. You can make accurate ammunition. This ammunition shoots a 3-inch group at 100 yards all day long. I mean, I know guys that they have competition grade everything, and they can't shoot any better. So it's just something to show you, and going to choose a powder to load some more. I've got probably, I don't know. You see, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I got 10, a dozen. I got 14 cases more here. That's I made out of 4570. Actually 14, and I'm pulling these apart. That's the ones I told you guys about the Spanish bullet that didn't work good. After a while it didn't work good, so I'm going to pull them apart and I'm going to make something with them. And so almost another box of experimental loads. But what we're trying to stay away from is that. That's the split casing I got the other day, and I got all the smoke in the face. But that was because I didn't have enough filler. That's the comment I'll make about an air gap. That's what can happen. That case is plenty strong. The brass was in perfect condition, and still it built up enough pressure with a load of red dot powder, and it was only a 13 grain load of red dot, and it blew the back of the case, blew the primer out. Didn't damage the gun whatsoever. I got all the smoke in the face, and it wasn't pleasant, but I mean, lesson learned. Use enough filler. And it's like going with black powder. Make sure you have it compressed. Don't have an air gap. So all these little tidbits that I can give you in loading, it's a help. If anybody ever has any questions or wants to make comments, feel free. I mean, you're not going to hurt me with anything you say. I have my own reloading practices. I'm a firm believer in what I'm doing is correct. It may be, some people may see it as medieval practice or archaic, but you got to remember one thing. That gun was from 125 years ago. What did they use to load their ammunition? They didn't have RCBS dies or Lee presses or anything like that. They used these right here, what God gave them. And I don't think they had too much of a good scale to measure powders. Fill the case and jam a bullet in there and go. And these guns are still here 125 years later, so they must have done something right. But yeah, comment down below, press the like button. I know, like Scotty Gun Geek and them guys, you know, Scotty loads 43. A couple of guys I talked to on there, the Colba 49, he loads 43. Solidarity Soldier, he loads 43. And I love watching Iraqi Veterans channel. I mean, some of them things them guys do is just wow. Like trying to blow up a Mosin Nagant rifle, and they did it. And I felt that hurt me when I seen that. I mean, if they watch my video and if it hurts, yeah, it hurt me. I don't think any gun, regardless of what it is, deserves to be tortured. But that was an example well put that the guns are made strong, and just because it's old, don't mean it's no good. And that's the last thing I'll say to you. So. Couple of powders I got here I'm going to go look through, see what I can dig up for data, and I'm going to load some ammo, and hopefully when I go to the range tomorrow that the flies aren't bad and I get some accurate shooting. I'm going to try some 50 meter and 100 meter shooting and see if we can get that the height issue solved with the rifle. And if I can load some 308 ammo tonight, hopefully I can do as well as I did at my shoot the other day. I fired 5 shots in a group at 150 meters, smaller than a dime, with my 308, my Savage 110 silhouette rifle. Like I say, this stuff here worked wonders, if anybody wonders. So, any questions on reloading period, feel free to ask me, guys. I'm here to answer questions. Like I'll share what knowledge I have. Hope it's a help to you, and you know, don't think that this guy here is losing his marbles or nothing. That, you know, he loads shells with no dies and this and that, and he puts it on YouTube. Well, I put it on there because it can be done if you put your mind to it, and that's pretty much it. So, catch you later.